Hi all, my name is Jordan Frith and I am the Pierce Professor of Professional Communication at Clemson University. And I'm making this video to tell you about reference management software. And I am a total evangelist for reference management software. I've been using it since at least 2010 when I was a PhD student, and it's the type of thing that I can't imagine working without. And so this is going to be kind of a quick overview about why you should use reference management software and kind of how you can use it and different things you can do with it. It's not going to be a walkthrough or like a how-to or anything because there are different reference management softwares out there, so you might use a different one. But just if you're looking into it, a few options. Zotero is what I use, and Zotero is totally free. Mendeley is another one people use, and it's free too, I believe. And then there are ones like EndNote, which can work as well. There's also RefWorks, which is offered through universities, but that one I don't have as much familiarity with. And I think in some cases that can be tied to university accounts, which is probably not good if you're a PhD student. So I'm going to kind of show you some of the things you can do with reference management software to make the case for why you should use some kind of reference management software, whether it's Zotero or Mendeley or something else. This is the type of thing where there is a bit of a learning curve. You do have to learn how to use it. It does take a little bit of time, though it's not particularly hard. But the time you spend learning how to use it, you will more than make up for in the long run. Really, you'll more than make up for just on your dissertation. So what reference management software does is it saves references for you so that you can insert them into documents. And this, you can see, is my Zotero, which I've been using forever. I have so many references in here, like so many going back to 2012. And it just lets you save them so that you have these references ready to go. And you can do more things, like you can save PDFs attached to the references and things like that. I don't use it as that, but I know other people who do. But why you should use it is it makes the entire reference process, which is such an annoying process, so much easier. So in Word, you can do a Word add-in where you can do an add-in for whatever reference management software you're using. So I use Zotero, so I had to use a Word add-in or something like that. But it's not that hard. And once you do add it, and this is just a document I threw together for Lorem Ipsum texts, you can use the reference management software to drop references in. So for example, let's drop in a few references. And let's say we are doing APA, because that's probably going to be the most relevant for you. So I want to reference some people. So I want to reference Richling and maybe something I wrote. Okay? I'll reference my dissertation. So just do that. It adds the parenthetical. Down here, I want to reference something else. So let's put this in, and on and on. It makes it very easy, and it's all saved in one place. So let's just add a few more, and I will kind of show you what I'm talking about. But see, very easy, okay? But this is not even the big part, because just adding some parentheticals is, I mean, not the biggest deal. That's not one of the hardest things for references. Where it becomes incredibly useful beyond just having a database of everything that you can reference is you then can auto-generate a reference page. And you'll do this different in different reference software, like if you're using Mendeley, but they all have the basic thing. So you add and edit a bibliography. I don't know why it's formatted like that, but whatever. You just change the formatting. So you can just automatically add and edit the bibliography just with one click based on these parentheticals, okay? Now, what's really important beyond just that is then when I add more references, so let's add another thing by Rich. Then I can just click refresh, and it will add these new references, okay? So as you're working on a dissertation, or any kind of long document, or any kind of article, it will add references automatically as you add them in the parenthetical. And it will auto-generate it, it will do all of that. And you can also very easily just go to a reference and then click Edit Citation, and there you can do things like add a page number. Okay? So this is all really useful. And let's just add a couple more. So let's go with one of the big ones. Some Foucault, okay? So you just hit refresh and then it updates, okay? So very easy. Now this becomes especially important as well when you're doing revisions. So when you're revising an article, when you're revising your dissertation, maybe you decide this paragraph, not good. I don't want to add that one. This paragraph, not good. So I deleted those. But I have this reference page, but all of a sudden I don't have parenthetical references to two of those references. And this is the type of thing that in a long document or any kind of article becomes a mess, where you start having to revise huge chunks and things that are in your reference page are no longer in your document, which then gets you tripped up with reviewers, it gets you tripped up in copy editing, it's a mess. But if you're using reference management software, as soon as that parenthetical citation disappears, so does the citation, right? So this is just such an easier way to do things because it will manage everything for you, okay? Now, you might have to add this information. It's not perfect. Like I said, there is a learning curve. But it does make it so much easier, and it makes revision so much easier as you're adding references or you're deleting sections with references. Because especially with a dissertation, you're going to have a reference page that's like pages long. And you're going to have done so much revision on that that the idea that you're going to have to search to make sure that it matches is just such a mess and so difficult and so annoying. And another absolutely gigantic advantage for doing this, okay, is say you submit to a journal and it's an APA journal. So your references are all in APA style, okay? You get a rejection. You're going to get rejections. All of the mentors in this program, we are all established scholars, we still regularly get rejections. So I get a rejection. And then I'm like, I want to send it to this other journal, and this other journal might be MLA, or it might be IEEE or Chicago or whatever you're doing. Depends on what type of work you do. I don't know if any of you have ever had to do this, but changing from one citation style to another is a nightmare. It's so much work and it's so just busy work and annoying. But if you use a reference management software, it lets you do this super easily. With one click, document preferences, I can change to IEEE, for example. And then all of a sudden, I have IEEE references. Now I can just send this to this other journal, super easy. Maybe it gets rejected by that journal. I all of a sudden make it super theoretical, and then I'm submitting to an MLA journal. Now I have MLA references. So this saves such a massive amount of time, and it changes both your reference page, it changes how your parenthetical citations are done. It's really, really worth your time. And another thing I want to show you is it makes collecting references so much easier. So for most major journal sites, they will give you a way for you to automatically add it to your citation database. So here's Mobile Media and Communication, which is a SAGE journal. So if you click Cite and then you click Download Citation, you'll have your options. Most will work, but RIS is normally the one you use for Zotero. If it was Mendeley, maybe something else. You click Download Citation, and then you just click that, and all of a sudden, you have this reference, okay? So instead of having to do any of this by hand, you're talking 2 clicks and you can just download it. It really couldn't be easier. And this is, you'll find this button in different places on different publishers, but it's on most publishers that are major publishers, okay? So 1 click, you're just adding these references. And even for non-academic journals, if you have a Zotero plugin, which you can do through Chrome, then if you're on like New York Times or something, you can just go to Save to Zotero, and it will save it to your library. And then you can check and see what kind of data was actually right. Like, I want to change this to a web page, okay, and the rest of the data is right, except probably change that to 2022. So yeah, with the Zotero plugin, you can do even non-academic articles and just add. And a lot of the time it won't be right. You'll have to add like author information or maybe date or website or whatever. But it's a good start, and it lets you do it with one click. And with any kind of academic articles, it's very easy to cite. You just do something like that. So that's like big advantages to it. But also you can add stuff yourself. Like you just click new items and you can add a book. You just add the title, the author, whatever information you're going to need. You just type it in yourself. And then you have these references. So this makes everything so much easier, and over time you build up this reference list where it's just an incredible resource where you can just drop references in. You're not having to go back and do things. You can change it very easily. And with Zotero, at least, if you look on the web page, there are a bunch of people who have collected citations and shared Zotero files of large databases of citations in certain areas. You can probably find one in your area that you download, and you'll start with a bunch of citations ready to go. And like I said, Zotero is just one option, but Zotero, Mendeley, there are a bunch of free options. And I really just can't stress this enough. It is so much easier down the road once you learn how to do this, once you build up a database. You will not regret learning it. At first, you're going to be annoyed. There is a bit of a learning curve, and you're going to tell yourself maybe it's easier if you just do all this by hand. But I promise down the road, it is not easier to do it by hand, especially when you're on long documents, especially when you're having to change citation styles. This is something that you really should look into. And Zotero is my recommendation, but Mendeley is another one, and you just have different options. And really consider using a reference management software. It makes managing all of this so much easier, and it really does simplify the research process.